To listeners of Asempa FM and Ghanaians, and not Sammy Jemfi, for me, for my manner in which I responded. Now, I wish to assure all that I remain committed to decent, issue-based discourse on our airwaves, and that this unfortunate incident will not be repeated. I will also encourage my brother Sammy Jemfi to be decorous and respectful in his public utterances during such engagements, and to, at all times, respect the high office of the president. He wrote in his apology. Well, so that was Nana B's response. That was Nana B's call or his apology after the incident. He apologized to the listeners and Ghanaians for his conduct. And note clearly, he did not apologize to Sammy Jemfi. But we'll get in touch with the people involved in this and find out exactly what this is all about as we work our phone lines. Now, we'll stay on this. Before this apology came, last night, the youth wing of the opposition NDC issued a 24-hour ultimatum to the police for the immediate arrest of the national youth organizer of the ruling party, MPP. Now, Henry Nana Boakye, as we have said before, assaulted the communications director of the NDC, Sammy Jemfi, during a radio show here in Accra.
The aggrieved youth wing of the National Democratic Congress's demand was necessitated by a video that went viral on social media explicitly showing the ruling party's youth organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, assaulting the communications director, Sammy Jemfi, in the studio of Accra-based radio station Asempa FM. The situation, which displeased fellow comrades of the NDC, demanded for an emergency meeting among the opposition party to demand the arrest of the NPP youth organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, within 24 hours. The incident is said to have occurred in the course of the station's political talk show, Ekusi Seng, on Friday afternoon. It is unclear what triggered the attack, but reports claimed Sammy Jemfi was accusing the NPP for the violence recorded at the Ayawaso West Wogan constituency by-election when he incurred the anger of Nana B. But National Youth Organizer of the NDC, George Opare Addo, addressing a press conference on Friday, said the police will incur their wrath if the request is ignored. Addressing a late-night press conference, George Opare Addo utterly condemned the attack on Sammy Jemfi, which, according to him, believed Nana B had instructed some bandits associated with the NPP to attack their Deputy National Youth Organizer, Eric Edem Agbana.
Now, we are putting in efforts to reach the receiver of the slap, the victim of this assault, Sammy Jemfi, over the telephone. And we'll have a conversation on the back of this. In the meantime, let's talk about the sanctions, visa sanctions against our executive and legislature. Now, the United States of America's embassy in Ghana will begin visa sanctions on Ghana on February 4, 2019, with the cessation of the issuance of non-immigrant visas to domestic employees of Ghanaian diplomats posted in the U.S. The embassy, in a statement, said such non-immigrant visa applications will remain pending until visa restrictions are lifted. There will also be limits on the validity period and number of entries on new tourist and business visas for all Ghanaian executive and legislative branch employees to 1 month single entry visas. These restrictions will affect their spouses, their children under the age of 21. The sanctions were announced on Thursday by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, citing the Ghana government's purported lack of cooperation in accepting Ghanaians deported from the U.S. Here in Ghana, the new U.S. ambassador was given the task of telling us. Take a look.
There have been so many conversations since, as I said, July of 2016. And there are other countries that have come on this list. Other countries have gone off the list. We hope that Ghana will go off the list as a result of issuing the travel documents in an expeditious manner. It is not every country is facing the same types of limitations. So, in fact, there is no ban. And I would just say that we've pressed pause on a very small category of visa, as I mentioned, the domestic employees of Ghanaian diplomats posted in the United States. And we are limiting the validity period for a certain other category of applicant. So it's not a ban.
In response, the Foreign Affairs Ministry has described as baseless claims by the United States government that Ghana has refused to cooperate in the deportation of what it describes as alleged Ghanaian citizens. The ministry said it is and has been in the process of working with the American authorities since it was informed of the marked deportations. Now let's get more from this two-page statement from the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Wilberforce Asare has been going through this. Has joined me here in the studio. Wilberforce, what else is in the statement?
Well, so Keminni, the statement as I have with me here says that as is the requirements and in accordance with international law, the Ghana Embassy in Washington, D.C. undertakes identification and verification processes to ensure that all persons earmarked for deportation to Ghana are bona fide citizens of Ghana. All countries undertake these processes to accept their deported citizens from all over the world, and it is not peculiar to Ghana and to the United States. It goes on to say that the identification and verification mechanisms has stipulated timelines and procedures which are communicated in the deportation authorities at the time. But what interests me actually is the details that are carried out here. The statement indicates that it should be noted that as at 8th January 2019, and that is just about 21 days ago, Washington, which is the Ghana mission there, received 28 applications from the U.S. authorities. The statement further says that out of the 28, 19 have been interviewed by the embassy authorities and 11 traveling certificates issued to them, as it were, for them to travel back to Ghana. Then it goes on to say that those outstanding are as a result of doubts on their Ghanaian nationality, ill health, or pending litigations in the United States courts. So if they have received 18 complaints and they've worked on 19 and 11 are pending based on litigations and ill health issues, well, but we do not know where the U.S. figures are coming from. So
far, we've only heard about the 28, 19 against 11, yes. Depending on the level of processing that they have reached. But the U.S. is talking about 7,000. How did the statement address that?
Exactly so. So the statement further says that officers of the U.S. Embassy have verbally, and the word is verbally, informed the ministry that there are about 7,000 Ghanaians who are at different stages of deportation processes. However, there has been no confirmation by the U.S. authorities of a final court order for their removal in accordance with the U.S. own laws. And so this 7,000 figure that is being mentioned by the U.S. authorities, it doesn't look like there is official communications from the U.S. State Department to Ghana's mission, or for that matter, Ghana's foreign ministry, as to the stages in which they are. So we do not know the 7,000 people.
But you were at the news conference organized by the U.S. Embassy. We've seen the statement. I know you've been in communication with the Foreign Affairs Ministry. What are the differences in the narration that you're giving us beyond what we know already?
So the difference for me is that the U.S. seems to have a number of people who are earmarked for deportation in the United States. And they have come to a conclusion that all those people are Ghanaians. And so they are putting pressure on Ghanaian officials to issue them with passports so they can travel on commercial flights back to Ghana, as it were, for the purposes of deportation. Now, the Ghanaian authorities are also saying that you have, first of all, not giving us any official communication about this huge number of people that you talk about. The official figures we have are these, and these are figures that have come from your own outfit. And so if there is any other numbers, then go through the same process that you have gone through with the 28 and let us know so that we can take immediate action. But standing on the first and saying that there are 7,000 people who are all Ghanaians, according to the standards of the US. The Ghanaian officials are saying that they are not going to accept that, and that you need to come clear. Why is it that there is a difference between the 28 that you have officially communicated to us and this 7,000 that you are standing over the wall and shouting about?
I see. How long has this been going on?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, it's been going on for about 2 years, since 2017, when this administration, the current Akufo-Addo administration, came into office, and again, the administration of Donald Trump came. That is when this whole diplomatic route started. But Keminni, I think that the end of the statement by the Foreign Ministry is something that we need to consider. The last paragraph says that the ministry is assessing the situation and will institute appropriate measures within the context of international law and the bilateral relations between Ghana and the United States in due course.
What does that mean?
For me, it probably means that, you know, in some diplomatic circles, if you remember, between the US and, between Russia and the UK, when they removed officials of the Russian High Commission or Russia Embassy in UK retaliated by also removing their officials. So now they have imposed sanctions on Ghanaians. Now we do not know if the Foreign Ministry is also going to institute some form of sanctions on US officials who are coming. We do not know when this war is going to end. But the last paragraph of the statement indicates that Ghana is also going to take some action, as has been taken by the U.S. authorities.
Very well, thank you very much. Wilberforce Asare is our legal affairs and presidential correspondent. Now, let's turn attention to the National Identification Authority, which has extended the deadline for registration and issuance of the Ghana cards in the Ga East municipality. Now, there are reports of delays in the issuance of the cards since the registration began last year. Here's a News Desk report.
On Monday, November 5, 2018, the National Identification Authority began the mass registration and issuance of the much-awaited National Identification Cards, popularly known as the Ghana Card. The Ghana Card, apart from proof of citizenship, will be a multifaceted identity card that will be used for voting, national health, driving license, among several other identification needs. To register, one needs his or her birth certificate, passport, and GPS address, failure to which one cannot be registered. And these requirements became a challenge for many Ghanaians seeking to acquire the Ghana cards.
All my identities, I produce them. And yet, you are telling me that I'm not qualified. Me work and went on pension. I'm now 63 years. And you are telling me I'm not a Ghanaian. On what grounds? Voted ID. It's a national one. National health insurance. It's a national one. Why this one you say only people who are having driving license and your birth certificate? Benedict. My problem is why they are strictly on birth certificate and the driving license. Is everybody a driver? And passport. Ubia timukwa bochire.
Also, there have been challenges with the instant issuance of the Ghana cards. It takes up to a week, sometimes even more, for the cards to be issued to those who registered. Another challenge has been the continuous public announcement and sensitization about the various communities where officials will be conducting the registration exercise. At the start of the program, it was indicated that from the Greater Accra region, the process for the acquisition of the identification card will move to the voter, Northern, Upper East, Upper West, Bono Ahafo, Western, Ashanti, Eastern, and the Central regions in that order. No timelines were given as to when the registration exercise in a particular community will end. When the exercise started in Adenta, it was extended by a week, and now a statement from the NIA has indicated that the ongoing registration exercise in the Ga West municipality will also be extended by 2 days from the initial date it was supposed to end on February 6. These challenges notwithstanding, officials have so far registered and issued the Ghana cards to over 80,000 Ghanaians since the program began.
Well, joining me over the phone lines now is the head of corporate affairs at the National Identification Authority, Francis Palmdetti. Good evening, Francis.
Good evening.
So what's causing this delay in the issuance of the Ghana cards, particularly per our story in the Ga East, in the Ga West area?
I didn't follow the story very well to know what the issues were. But if you're talking about any kind of delay, there are several factors that can contribute to a card not being issued instantly. You recall that we have said time and again that the systems we are using depend on the network of telcos. So we have two networks that we rely on, MTN and Vodafone. And anytime there is a break in the network, we move to the other. When that also fails, we will then have to do what we call offline registration. When that happens, we cannot issue the card instantly. So we usually will ask the applicant to go and come back for the card. There are times when an applicant is registered, but for various reasons, there's what we call adjudication. Let's say, for instance, you have registered in the past as a foreigner, and then you now, for whatever reason, maybe you've naturalized or you haven't naturalized, you have somebody vouch for you as a Ghanaian. Because we have the data that we captured in 2008 still with us, that information you have provided at the registration center would go into our database to check whether you are already in the database or you're a new registrant. When that happens and there's a complete match, and it turns out that the information you have provided is different from what was in the system, it will go into adjudication. There's manual adjudication and there's the system adjudication. When it goes into system adjudication, it takes a while for it to come out. We have assured residents who haven't received their cards, so whatever it takes, once we resolve the issues with respect to their particular card, they will get their card. So as I speak, for those who registered in Adenta, for instance, we have an office at the NHIA office in Adenta where people have gone for their cards, and those who were unable to register during the exercise also have gone to register. We have a similar office in La Quantanine at the municipal center, where those who are unable to get their cards go there together. So everybody who has registered will get their cards. For those who haven't received, yes, we either send text messages or actually call them to come for their cards. So arrangements are always in place to take care of those who are unable to get their cards. But I'll say that a significant chunk of those who have registered have received their cards.
Typically, for those who have issues with, the issuance of the card, how long must they wait?
How long must they wait?
Yes, how long is the wait before you get the card?
It depends on the individual case. It's on a case-by-case basis. Some people, by the next day their card is ready. Some people's card takes longer. And so until the issues are resolved around the card, everybody goes to register. They may not say what their real issues are, but we've had cases, for instance, where some people registered as foreigners, and their record is in our system as foreigners. They have now come with documentation that shows that they are Ghanaian. The system locks it up because there's some kind of an anomaly. We also have situations where people have actually gone ahead to change their dates of birth, for instance, or change certain key information about themselves. Those things will sometimes cause delays, or the system itself has a hitch and there's a delay. So you cannot tell whether, when there's a delay, the next day you will get it, or a week's time you will get it. It's on a case-by-case basis, and depending on what the issue is, it may take a short time or it may take a longer time.
Now, when will this exercise go nationwide?
As we speak, Africa East, we would zone Accra into two parts, and we will zone what we call the Accra West area, which has about 14 constituencies. So we are talking about Botiano, English, Amanfro, Wejagbawe, Domiabra, Dom, Anya, Sowutuom, Amasamine, Okaikwe South, Central, and North, Ablikuma South, Central, Northwest, Ododo, Dio. Those areas will be tackled first, that is Accra West. And then we would move to Accra East, which also has places like Yawasu, North, East, West, Central, Lotikoli, Dadekutupon, all the way to Tege, Bangbe East, and Ningo Pram. Those areas will be tackled as Accra East. So as soon as we are done with East, that is the approach. But the law requires us to state the duration and where we'll be having those registrations done. I'll wait for that to be published, and then we can speak of it.
Okay, so clarity's sake, because Accra is not nationwide. So what you are telling us is that after Accra, then you have a plan for the rest of the country?
Absolutely. So after Accra, we'll move to the Volta region, and then, Volta now is now Volta and Oki. And then, as I speak, the original plan as in moving nationwide, as in anti-clockwise, still remains until there's some other change in operational approach.
And your timelines?
We'll finish by the end of this year.
By the end of this year?
Yes.
Okay, so when should we expect you to start the Accra West, Accra East exercise?
Like I said, that has to be published, and that has to be gazetted. And until we do that, I cannot go ahead and speak directly to it.
I see. It would appear that the exercise is slower than we imagined or planned before. What's happening with it?
Oh, you said it would appear that it's slower?
Yeah, it's slower than we planned when we began the exercise. What's the cause?
There are several factors which I think we have explained over time. At some point, we started in June of last year. We did institutional registration. The reason why we did institutional registration was to have enough people in the database who have the documentation we require for registration. Because there's a segment of our registration which requires one to be vouched for, especially for those who do not have any documents whatsoever. They need somebody to vouch for them. You can only vouch for a person when you have registered. So the idea was to populate the database with persons who ordinarily would have documents to be registered. So we targeted institutions for a while. At the same time, we also noticed that we didn't have enough commissioners for oath in the country to even go along with that, because the vouching process requires a commissioner for oath to be present. So the Judicial Service recruited a sizable number of commissioners for oath, which, as we speak, came on board in November when we started registering Nadenta, and they have been with us throughout the process. Those are some of the things that may have caused some delay in our rollout. But as we speak, we are soldiering on, and from Accra East, we're moving to Accra West and then Accra East.
Okay, so let's talk about money in funding this exercise. Do you have it?
We do not have an issue with the funds we need to carry out the exercise.
So how much what has been cleared and what has been given to you for this exercise? For this year?
I do not have that figure off my head, but what I know is that the Finance Department places requests for funds they need at any stage of exercise. And so far, we have not been denied the funds we need at any stage of exercise.
I see. So I take it as the contract workers who you owed, you have paid them?
The contract workers issue is something we have had meetings with them to discuss. Contract workers would usually have to be paid wages based on the number of days they have worked. So in a month, we'll have to, at the end of the month, determine the number of days workers have worked, and then we go ahead to process payments. It usually takes time. So we have explained to them that they will not receive, let's say if at the end of January, processes that go into working out your salary or your wages for January would go into February. And by the third week in February, those salaries must be ready. That understanding, we have met the leadership of the contract workers. They now understand and they know that when they finish work at the end of January, they will get January's pay by the third week of February. And so it's not about us not having money to pay contract workers. It's more about administrative and the need to be sure that you don't end up overpaying somebody or underpaying somebody. That's the issue with payments to staff.
I see. And so when we first heard about the contract workers in October who were demanding their wages owed to them, I take it as, or should I take it as, based on your understanding with them now, you have paid them what you owed to them since October?
Yes, we have done that.
You have done that, indeed. Now, it seems this exercise has been done on the quiet. Election year is just 11 months away. Are you confident that you can finish this exercise before then?
I'm not sure our mandate is to finish the exercise before an election year. Ours is to issue national identity cards to persons who are eligible. And we have a certain time frame to do that. And that's what we are working towards. And that's what we hope to achieve. We have not been told that this exercise is supposed to meet a certain election or a certain election year. No. So, I mean, I would wish that we do not link what we are doing to any other activities. But the fact that NI has a mandate, that mandate is to issue national ID cards to nationals of the country who are eligible.
Very well. I was asking because of the activities that occur within the election year period, which seem to make that year very hectic. We might even need your resources to help with that. So that's why I was asking. But if you're confident that you can finish this and even beyond, that's fine. Thank you very much, Francis.
My pleasure.
Francis Palmdetti is head of corporate affairs for the National Identification Authority. We've been discussing issues to do with delays, salaries, and whether or not they have money to finish this project that appears slower than we were promised. But let's turn attention to another event, this very worrying. Gender Minister Cynthia Morrison has admonished all parents to be watchdogs over their children to prevent the increase in canker of child trafficking in the country. Now, this was disclosed during a presentation of various items to Human Trafficking Department of the Gender Ministry as they house over 250 children and adults rescued from human trafficking. My colleague Kweku Ejiama Ansa was present at the program and has come through with this report.
In 2017, the Gender Ministry, in collaboration with the Ghana Police Service, rescued 229 victims being trafficked, whilst in 2018, 341 victims were rescued, with 95 being adults and the rest being children. Ghana has been a source, transit and destination country for men, women and children who are trafficked and subject to forced labor and sexual exploitation. For this reason, the government of Ghana worked hard to improve its rating on the TIP report for 2018 through a number of efforts to meet the recommendations made in the 2017 TIP report. Some of these activities embarked on include the training and capacity building for law enforcement officials, the renovation and furnishing of the children's shelter, and securing an adult shelter. There was also the establishment of the Human Trafficking Fund, with 500,000 Ghana cedis deposited by the government for anti-human trafficking activities. To do more, the ministry has handed several items to the Human Trafficking Department to be used to furnish both the children and adult shelters, which houses over 250 people. This, they believe, will make life for these people a better one and to avoid them going back onto the streets. The various items include mattresses, clothes, curtains, a flat screen TV, refrigerator, washing machines, and office cabinets, among other items. In addressing the media, the Gender Minister, Cynthia Morrison, explained that many parents are not abreast with the canker, therefore they need to sensitize and educate people on it.
I spoke to one person. She told me that if the child is so stubborn and that if I have like 5 sheep and I'm hungry, what do? I sell one. So some of them see the children as assets that they can sell. And they don't see the importance of raising children. We started educating them and we've told them the reason why they should accommodate their children, no matter how stubborn the children are, and ways of improving their livelihood. Some of them are so poor. You go to them and you understand their plight, and it doesn't mean that when you are poor you have to sell your child.
The minister hastened to admonish all parents to be watchdogs over their wards.
I will advise parents that they should be responsible. they should be responsible. I know these children, lots of them need love and attention, and I'm sure when we give it to them and we forget about the pressures that we have, because if you have a problem and you vent your anger on the child does not know what you are going through. But if you're able to communicate to the children that things are difficult but will get better.
In combating the menace of human trafficking, the minister believes corporate bodies, philanthropists and non-governmental organizations must partake in this good cause.
We are calling all NGOs, philanthropists, officers, anybody, even if it's a bag of rice, whatever it takes to help these children, whatever it takes. If you can build us a shelter, we have one now, but we need more. If there's anything anybody can do, the corporate bodies, and we are going to launch a campaign, we'll move to them. I would go to the churches myself and ask for funds to help these children, because they are our children. The ministry alone cannot bear all this responsibility. This alone has taken a toll of our budget, but we have to continue.
The Gender Ministry is committed to combating human trafficking and assures the general public of minimizing the menace in the coming years.
On the back of that story, we would want to remind ourselves our girls are still missing and find the latest on this matter as far as the rescuing the girls are concerned. Over the phone now is Gender Minister Cynthia Morrison, who's playing a critical role in bringing these girls back home to their parents. Thank you very much for joining us here. Good evening, Cynthia.
Good evening, my dear. How are you?
I'm well. I trust you are too.
By God's grace.
Can we say same for the girls?
We are praying so.
When you say we are praying so, how does that tell on the processes to bring them home so far?
I am speaking to you and you are speaking to me, so I believe you are doing well. And once you're also speaking to me, you believe I'm doing well. But I'm not speaking to them. That is why I said I pray so.
Okay, we thank God for that.
Yeah.
But I know, again, I'm going to say that you're playing a critical role in bringing these girls, in attempts to bring these girls back home. Where have we got to? What is the progress so far?
The progress, I told you the last time, that where we have gotten to, if there's any information, I will even call you. We are very close to it. Yesterday, we met a security couple from IGP to the last person that we had to see. We spoke at length, and they are closing up. They went out with a guy yesterday, and we are getting somewhere. The lead he's giving us, because he's working with other people, occasionally there's that twist. But I can assure you that with the security, the way they are going, I believe I don't want to say anything. You know, I don't have to go into details what they are doing, because I've spoken at length, and where we've gotten to, it is an internal matter that they have to handle. I don't want to spill the beans, but I hope we get the girls soon.
Now, I'm going to come back to the girls in a bit, but during this period, how are we managing the families?
Oh, there's they are going through counseling. We're talking to them. They're young. We have family members attending to them and all that. Tomorrow I'm going to Cape Coast. I may not reach Akwadi, but I'll still talk to them tomorrow. We have other family members visiting them and all that. There's one particular mother, she's been calling a lot, and they will be sharing ideas. I haven't spoken to one father for a long time. I'm going to get his number. I don't have it. I talked to him through somebody. I have to get it directly so I can talk to him. It's not a good thing, so I can't say it's cool with them. It is not that cool. Even me, it's not cool with me, let alone the mother at home or the father at home. It is not that cool to us. The pressure is on. But we have hope that the children are alive, and that is the only thing that keeps us going.
Honorable, what would you say to persons who do not understand the approach you are using to get the girls back? And let me explain myself. Now, if you listen to the conversation, particularly amongst Ghanaian users of social media, the idea is, well, we have the suspect. Why haven't we dealt with the suspect so that we know where these girls are? What would you say to Ghanaians to explain to them the approach you're using in bringing these girls back home?
We are speaking to the suspect. We've spoken to him at length. If I had to tell you what he's told us, but you should remember also that the other people who are with these girls are still listening to us. They are monitoring TV, they are monitoring radio. So when you spill the information out, what are you doing? You are giving it to them. That is the dicey thing. The reason why I can't go further. Even talking to the guy, we don't even have to come and talk about it, but at least to calm Ghanaians and know that we've spoken to him at length. But he's not working alone. We know that once they are here, they are contained. They can't be taken out of this country. And that alone gives us every assurance that they are okay. That is what the guy told us, because he is the only person who has seen the girls since they left home. And he is the only lead that we have now. And he's giving us all the assurances, not just to assure us, but when you are talking to somebody and the person is lying, sometimes you go somewhere, you know that, no, that is not right. But sometimes he's speaking, you know that what he's saying is the truth. So he tells us that the girls are alive. I know that everybody wants to know the details, but once you bring the details out, it's like you're telling the other people that, hey, we are closing up on you this way. This information we've had. We know you are ABC. But there are some people that even if you know they are part of the deal, you have to work around them to get information.
Honorable, I'm grateful for your time. Thank you very much. And we hope that the girls come home as soon as you say.
Our money is ready for all school feeding caterers. So we'll talk about that one.
Absolutely. We'll get into that tomorrow.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, my dear.
Absolutely. Cynthia Morrison is Gender Minister. Now, some commercial taxi drivers plying the Kansa-Wuredru Apollo bypass are complaining of low patronage following recent cases of kidnappings in Sekondi, Takoradi. Residents of this area have been gripped with fear after reports emerged that 3 girls have been kidnapped.
The Kansa-Wuredru road passes through 3 communities, Diabini, Nkrofo, Kansa-Wuredru, where the 3 kidnapped girls lived. Taxi drivers plying the stretch explained ever since the news of the kidnapping went viral, business has been bad. Some of them say passengers board their car with a lot of hesitation.
First, what for car? Fine. You two says, yeah, a bit crasso ya do coffee. Sister, in fact, about bland son and says, the my car no run now. And to me, your top money into the harbor brain or the Abraham. Because I bet you my driving, a better for man now, at the end of the day, no, a case can be a dark coffee. In fact, if you so as some girl back.
Others too observed. Passengers feel comfortable boarding their vehicles only when they know them personally.
Yeah, car for is a while. It's a beautiful car park to the Benita front, a quick cheaper, on Malama asked me a driver to be. We to stop more of a car in Sana, Wafocano. So be stop car, be secretary, being with the front, of the BB. So new party, uncle.
Other taxi drivers intimated that female commuters hardly board their vehicles, especially when there are male occupants.
Now, the Millennium Development Authority has postponed the takeover of the Electricity Company of Ghana by Power Distribution Services Ghana Limited.
The takeover was scheduled to have occurred on February 1, but the Millennium Development Authority in a communique indicated it has approved an extension of time to allow the parties and stakeholders, namely Government of Ghana, ECG and Power Distribution Services, to conclude their consultations and finalize work on some critical aspects of the transaction in order to facilitate a smooth transfer. The Millennium Development Authority is expected to announce a new date for the transition in the coming weeks. The journey to get a private sector player to manage the affairs of the ECG started after Ghana won the Power Compact, which was expected to inject some $900 million into the ECG. Ghana signed the power contract with the United States of America, acting through the Millennium Challenge Corporation, an independent United States government agency. Under the Power Compact, 6 projects are being implemented to address the root causes of the apparent unreliability of power supply in Ghana. The project includes ECG Financial and Operational Turnaround Project, NEDCO Financial and Operational Turnaround Project, Regulatory Strengthening and Capacity Building Project, and Access Project. The rest are Power Generation Sector Improvement Project and Energy Efficiency and Demand Side Management Project.
Well, joining me over the phone now is Ishmael Ejekumhene. He's an energy expert. Good evening, Ishmael.
Good evening.
What does this delay say to you?
Well, let me greet your viewers. It really doesn't say much, though. The concession is going to happen anyway. So I think it's going to take place sooner than later. So My understanding is that what they call the conditions precedent, not all of them have been fulfilled. So that is probably what the media people were trying to communicate. That I think media will be the best entity to explain why the delay. But I think the concession is going to go ahead, and from the minister's statement, the announcement as to when the new date could be coming as early as next week. So it really doesn't say much in terms of what is going to happen or not, but clearly somebody is not ready to take over.
Very well, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much. Ishmael Keminni is an energy expert. We've been talking about the postponement of the ECG management takeover. You're watching Weekend Edition of News Tonight. When we come back, we'll look at some 400 students who do not have desks and are having to use their dining hall room as a classroom. We'll be right back.
The Ghana Trade Fair Company brings you the 23rd Ghana International Trade Fair under the theme Made in Ghana, Globally Accepted. Date 28th February to 11th March 2019. Checked. Venue, the Ghana Trade Fair Company Law. Checked. What's next? You have to register. Yes, today. Agriculture, fashion, food processing. Check ekrasi.com. Tourism, pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, and just any product or service. Rush to register. Exhibit, sell, network, and be globally accepted. Get involved in the 23rd Ghana International Exhibition. Call
0241 818658, 0555 528817, or 0552 474632.
Or visit www.tradefairgh.com for further inquiries. Made in Ghana, globally accepted. Sponsors, media partners.
It's time to live up the GHOne TV's Duvet experience. Turn on the charm, meet new people, celebrate love in a sultry atmosphere, love forum, romantic music, delectable kizomba dance, and fashion on the 16th of February at 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Alisa Hotel. For tickets reservations, call 050-903-5494, 050-156-7995, 0560-737374. It's the Duvet Experience, brought to you by GHOne TV, your best love experience.
Duvet Experience is proudly brought to you by GHOne Salon and Spa, Aha Intimate, Beautiful Beneath, Golden Tree Chocolate, and Beauty Bowl Salon and Spa.
This February, there is love in the air and romantic dreams come true. Imagine exchanging your wedding vows 30,000 feet in the sky. GHOne TV, in collaboration with Africa World Airlines, is making this lovely fairy tale come true for a lucky couple in the Love in the Air Valentine promotion. Are you a couple ready for the altar, or do you know a couple ready to say I do? Simply send your love story to short code 1747 on all networks. You can also nominate your favorite couple to win this amazing opportunity. One lucky couple will have a romantic wedding in the air with GHOne TV and African World Airlines Love in the Air promotion. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Fly away, fly away.
Welcome back. It's time for business. Now, over 2,000 cocoa farmers in 5 communities in the GHOne Municipal Assembly of the Ashanti region and the Eastern region have threatened bloodshed over the sale of an estimated 5,000 hectares of cocoa farmlands. The communities are Onwe, Amweju, Abinase, Edwinase, Asapong, and Odahon. The farmers on Friday, February 1, 2019, embarked on demonstration to register their displeasure over the recent development.
The aggrieved cocoa farmers accused the paramount chief of a GHOne traditional area, Nana Ogwakro Afrane Okese IV, and the chief of Onye, Nana Asokwa Danka Jiabo II, of being behind the sale of the farmlands. The spokesperson of the aggrieved farmers, Kwabena Boateng, addressing the media in Kumasi, said 5,000 hectares of cocoa are to be destroyed to pave way for building of houses. According to Kwabena Boateng, the cocoa farmers were told that their farmlands have been sold to Ghana Free Zones Authority. Kwabena Boateng disclosed that selling of their farmlands will be a threat to their survival. He therefore called on the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II and President Akufo-Addo to come to their aid.
And go free prayer by a 2 say Yampreno. Only I saw my name saying, I don't know, Mr. Justin, and ask my woman. And yes, no, the Sinaswam say, Yadakwata, MC, what you so? For your quadruya, Blamukacha and say, MC the catcher said, one more. And the answer catch him say, yeah, quote, 4 way. I quote, 4. You need to quote a black gun and a dear. Yeah, for 4 mamma net, yeah, for Mamuchina.
The Queen Mother for Apenkra, Nana Equia Ajiman, speaking in an interview with Ebusia FM's Osei warned GHOne Nana Ogwakro Afrane Okese IV to refrain from intimidating cocoa farmers and residents of a GHOne traditional area. According to Nana Equia Ajiman, the land belongs to Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II and not GHOne Nana Ogwakro Afrane Okese IV.
Nana Yabura Otumfuo dia anu acheche. Watch a fashion swap. I never do. No matter the yo be a yajma. Nana Frani will say, I yo, yes, Papa, you may be ya.
The Queen Mother for Apenkra, Nana Equia Ajiman, also appealed to the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II to intervene and call the GHOne Nana Ogwakro Afrane Okese IV to order.
Imagine going to the hospital and you're given the wrong blood, or if your mobile phone service provider were to accidentally share your private information with another company seeking to know more about people such as yourself. If one's private and sensitive information is leaked to the public forum, it could be a catastrophe. We hear more in the following report.
The Data Protection Commission is mandated by Act 843, Section 2, to protect the privacy of the individual and their personal data by regulating the processing of personal information and provide the process to obtain, hold, use or disclose personal information. Privacy is seen as a fundamental human right, and as such, the DPC is positioning itself as a gateway to Africa by meeting international best practice standards and becoming a niche industry for Africa.
So individuals through the commission or on their own can exercise their rights given by the law and hold data controllers accountable. If there's a breach, you can complain directly to the data controller as part of your data protection rights. And if you don't get satisfaction, you can actually escalate the complaint to the commission and get the commission to assist you to obtain redress from the relevant data controller.
28 January is the annual day for global protection, and from January 28 to February 1, Data Protection Week is marked to inform and empower the people of Ghana on their rights under the Data Protection Act 2012. The week's theme was a chapter in enforcing accountability and empowering data subjects. The DPC, headed by the Executive Director Patricia Edusei-Poku, is taking the Global Data Protection Week to educate and sensitize the Ghanaian public about the seriousness of the matter at stake. She wants to target the Ghanaian youth for them to be informed enough to be able to educate those around them.
At the end of 2019, we want to have achieved 3 key things, and we've called it the 3 T's. We want to have been able to enable transparency, who have trust in themselves, be empowered to exercise their rights, and feel confident that they can do it, that somebody would see their complaints through. And then the trust, the increased transparency and trust would enable us to contribute to the national transformation agenda. So our 3rd T is enabling the transformation practically.
Next is international news. Now, Belgium has agreed to host former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo following his acquittal by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Under his conditional release, Gbagbo will not be allowed to leave Belgium pending an appeal. Laurent Gbagbo was captured in 2011 by UN and French-backed forces and charged with crimes against humanity in connection with violence that broke in 2010 following disputed elections that left 3,000 dead and many displaced. The violence was as a result of him refusing to accept defeat to current Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara. Laurent Gbagbo is the first former head of state to go on trial at the ICC. Supporters of Venezuela's self-declared interim president Juan Guaido are gathering for a nationwide demonstration. In a speech at Venezuela's Central University earlier this week, Guaido called on people to take to the streets in a show of force against President Nicolas Maduro's refusal to hand over power. Saturday's protests are intended to ramp up pressure on President Nicolas Maduro to step down and call a snap election. Guaido declared himself president last month and was immediately recognized by the U.S. and several Latin American countries. Major European countries have given Maduro until Sunday to announce a fresh vote or to join the nations recognizing Guaido as interim president. Well, that'll be all for tonight. I'm back tomorrow with the Half Hour edition. My name is Keminni Amanor. If you missed it, do watch a playback on Facebook or on YouTube. Good night.
It's Magdan and his jury, the finest Ghana enterprise and business leader. In the next 13 weeks, they will make or break the dreams of budding entrepreneurs.
We want 100,000 to employ 2 people.
No, that's not it.
Be straight, don't lie. If you lie, I will catch you.
Yes, sir.
The multi-millionaire investor has built up his fortune from scratch. Magdan has the credentials, the contact, commitment, and the cash ready to invest, but only in the right business. In these toughest economic times, Magdan is the last chance for budding entrepreneurs to get the financial backing they desperately need. Who will succeed? Who will fail? And who will win the $100,000? The McDonald Entrepreneurship Challenge, coming soon on GHOne. This show is brought to you by 10 Ghana and Active Media.
GHOne TV, your best experience.
The agenda is grace.
Grace is not a license to sin, but grace have a license to erase every sin.
The word is grace.
I live right because I don't take his grace light.
The apostle is the apostle of grace.
You are not accepted because you are gifted or you are talented. You are accepted because of the sacrifice that he accepted.
Get ready to encounter grace.
There is more grace that activates mercy than your mess.
The Radiant Place presents Grace Pulpit with Apostle Emmanuel Inku, showing this on every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and Wednesdays at 5:30 a.m. right here on GHOne TV.
GHOne TV, your best experience.
This February, there is love in the air and romantic dreams come true. Imagine exchanging your wedding vows 30,000 feet in the sky. GHOne TV, in collaboration with Africa World Airlines, is making this lovely fairy tale come true for a lucky couple in the Love in the Air Valentine promotion. Are you a couple ready for the altar, or do you know a couple ready to say I do? Simply send your love story to short code 1747 on all networks. You can also nominate your favorite couple to win this amazing opportunity. One lucky couple will have a romantic wedding in the air with GHOne TV and Africa World Airlines Love in the Air promotion. Remember, terms and conditions apply.
Fly away, fly away.
GHOne TV, your best experience.
mighty in the blood. There is power mighty in the blood. There is power mighty in the blood of Jesus Christ. There is power mighty in the blood, in the blood. There is power mighty in the blood, in the blood. There is power mighty in the blood. Amen. There is power mighty in the blood of Jesus Christ. There is power mighty in the blood. Let us pray right now and take over this vicinity by the power of the Holy Spirit. Let us pray and take over this vicinity by the blood of Jesus Christ. Pray right now. Father, in the name of Jesus, I commit this land into Holy Care. I take over this vicinity by the power of the Holy Ghost. If I be the man of God, Father, let your word come to fulfillment. In the name of Jesus. Arise and accept your sacrifice, so that our wealth will continue to flow like the river of Niger. I command all the plans of the enemy roving around this land. Let them begin to catch fire right now. Let them begin to catch fire right now. Let them begin to catch fire right now in the name of Jesus. Let your fire begin to consume them. Father, let your walk, O God. Sanitize this land, O God. Sanitize this land, O God. Set this land free, O God. I set this land free, O God. In the name of Jesus. Arise! All humans should be right now. Let your word manifest in this land. Let your word be manifest in this land. In the mighty name of Jesus. All the plans of wickedness, all the spirits, everywhere they are operating.